Recording is on.
Okay, Mr. Semilolua, you have the floor now.
Hello, everyone. Good evening to every one of us. Please confirm you can hear me clearly. Please confirm you can hear me clearly. Good evening, Wema. How are you doing today? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I want to see our responses on the comments. Okay, trust we are doing good today. I was glad to see that a number of us had been able to deploy our sites to Netlify, and that really is so amazing to see. And I look forward to seeing the links. I look forward to seeing the links, just so that I know that we are all following. Okay. I hope we are all excited as I am to go through today's class. For today, we'll really be delving fully into JavaScript, be looking at how JavaScript works, and then I'll be explaining to you how React also works. I'll be doing a very interactive application using JavaScript also. All right. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Before I move on, is there anyone? Is there anyone who has an issue? If you have an issue deploying your site, please drop your questions on the channel and I will answer the questions. Okay. So I'm going to be sharing my screen shortly. If at any point you can't hear me, please do well to let me know. Okay, you should see my screen in a minute. All right, confirm you can see my screen. All right, confirm you can see my screen. Okay, if you can see my screen, please drop a emoji, drop a thumbs up, just so I know you can see my screen. Okay. So let's get right into it. So just like I had said earlier, all right, JavaScript really is what you use to make your web page come alive, what you use to make your web page dynamic. Someone asked, will we go into React in detail? Yes, we will. We'll go through different files of React. However, the things you'll be reading in React, I'll cover in JavaScript today. So we'll see how we can still delve a little bit into React before the whole class is rounded up. But for today, I really want you to understand JavaScript to a good extent because it is what you have on JavaScript you'll be able to use with React. Yeah. So, but would touch React. All right. So, um, what really is JavaScript? Okay. You may want to. So, for some people, this is the first time they're hearing JavaScript. For some people, they know what JavaScript is. Basically, JavaScript is that programming language that runs in the browser. All right, it's a programming language of the web that runs in browser. All right, and with JavaScript you can add interactivity, more like clicks. You can add animations. You can make your forms dynamic. You can even create games and all of those things with JavaScript. And JavaScript is different from Java. Okay, don't make the mistake of saying Java for JavaScript and vice versa. All right, Java is a different language and JavaScript is a different language. Now, when you're writing on JavaScript, just like in CSS, if you remember, I told you earlier that in CSS, you write your CSS using what? You can have inline CSS. Oh, Maxwell, please drop the problem you had, you can drop in the discussion channel. I'll attend to it just after the class, okay? And we'll get your site up and running. So in CSS, you remember I said earlier yesterday that you can have your CSS, you can have inline CSS, you can have internal CSS, and you can even have it in an external file. Same for JavaScript. Okay, you can have inline JavaScript. You can have the one inside the file, right? Internal JavaScript, and you can have the one that is external. Okay, you can have external file. You can have it in an external file. So if you are having it inline, if you're writing inline JavaScript, all you're doing is you're trying to write it inside your HTML or inside your inside your HTML code. Okay, and that is something you should avoid. Avoid writing it inside the lines. Avoid writing inside your HTML lines. Okay, but if you are using the internal approach, what you'll be doing is you'll be writing in a script tag. All right, you create a script tag in the section of HTML and you write all JavaScript. Still fair. Okay, but the best approach is to have a separate file, that you call your script.js, and you will then, all you just need to do is you just need to link it to your HTML using this kind of script tag. You will use a script tag and you use the src. Remember, src is what you use to link to a particular source. Okay, use the src to link it to that file. All right, and that's the best approach. That way you have your JavaScript in a different file and you have your HTML in a different file. All right. Difference between JavaScript and how React.js works is that React.js is a JavaScript library that allows you to be able to do all of these things in a confined space. Okay. Don't worry, when we get to React, you'll see how that works well. Now, how would you get to write your first JavaScript? If you are on your computer right now, if you have on your VS Code on your online editor, by just writing console.log, and in your log you have this text hello world, you would see immediately that you have an output called what? Hello world. Okay, so how that's going to work is, let me see if I can share my screen so I can show you us how that is. Mm, okay, please, can you see my VS code? Okay, I think you should be able to see my VS code. So like I said earlier, what you do is you're going to create a script file and you call it .js. If you call it a different file, if you call it .j something else, it will not work. So it has to be .js. So you see JavaScript. All right. So now, just like our article said, we use console.log at least to write something in JavaScript. So this helps you to what? To log something in JavaScript. Hello world. Hello world. All right. So this is for you to be able to log whatever I put here is going to be outputted in your browser. Okay, whatever I put inside here is going to be outputted in your browser. Now let's click on go live like we always do. Let's click on go live and see what we have here. So when we inspect, well, anything you put in your console.log, it's going to show up in your console over here. So first of all, you click on inspect, then click on inspect, you click on console. Okay, if for most people it's probably be down like this, down. All right, so now you see that we don't have anything here. Let me show. Okay, this is still up. So now what you need to do is you need to link it with your HTML file. Okay, you need to link it with your HTML file. Without linking it, it would not work. Okay, without linking it will not work. And how do you link it? You basically in your body tag, right, at the end of all of other tags that you have. Now you will have your script tag. Okay, you have your script tag like this, and you do what? Src equals to, what's the file name? Script.js. Okay, so this is going to link to what? This script.js that we have like that, and that's all you have to do. Then when you come back here, you can see this hello world. All right. So that is exactly how you can what show what you have. First of all, that's how you can connect your script tag to your HTML, and secondly, that this is how you can write your what JS. Okay, but then as we go on, you will still see much more things that JavaScript can do. All right. Next off, we have variables. Now, variables are used for storing data. Okay, now you see in this my little illustration here, you have boxes. If you can see it, you say let's score equals to 100, variable name equals to John, const pi equals to 3.14. So these boxes are like they are storing those things. So they receive variables as they are used for storing data. Okay, so and when you want to store data, we can create them by using what different keywords. You can create them by using what the let keyword, the const keyword, the var keyword. Okay, but in modern JavaScript we use what the let and const keyword. Please take note of that. It is very very important. We use the let and const keyword. Now let name be equals to Ada and const age be equals to 25. These are like samples. These are sample approaches on how what you can create variables. Do you understand me? If you are following me, please give a thumbs up. If you are following me, give a thumbs up. Good, 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 good. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Thanks. Okay. So also you should also know that there's a very, very key rule you should have. The rule is that what you should use camel case. You should use camel case. Always use camel case when you are creating your variables. It is only a very great way to write your JavaScript, okay, and to keep things clean. It's just a very good way to write your JavaScript and to keep things clean. Okay. Now, also in JavaScript, there are things like alphabets, alphabet numbers, but basically the difference with string is that what is always inside what the quotes is inside quotes. All right, it's inside quotes. Then you have what your numbers. Your numbers are actual normal numbers without quotes, without quotes. Then boolean is like true or false. Is it true or false? Is it yes or no? You understand? So true or false. Then we have another data type that is null. Null is as though this variable does not, it has a value but the value is nothing, is null. All right, is nothing. Then another one being undefined, it means that a particular variable has not been defined yet, it has not been given a value yet. Okay, so these are different data types that we have. You see how these data types can work, and we still have more data types. Okay, we still have objects, we have array, and so on and so forth. All right, now also in JavaScript, there are things that we call what operators. You see in your applications today, you see some computation, you see some calculation, and all of those things. Those things could have only been done because of the power of what of operators. All right, power of operators. We have things like arithmetic operators. Those ones are where you have your plus, your minus, your multiplication, your division, and so on and so forth. Normal calculations you do today, you can do them with JavaScript using what arithmetic operators. All right. When you want to compare two things, when you want to say, oh, is 2 equals to 5, is which 2 is not equal to 5, is 20 greater than 3, is 10 greater than 100, things like that. You want to compare two values together, use what the comparison operator. All right, use the comparison operator. And that's where you can see here we have what the double equal sign, the greater than sign, the less than sign, and so on and so forth. Then also we then have the what logical operators. Logical operator, as the name implies, would enable you to say that okay, you want to check the left hand side and the right hand side of a particular expression, right? And you want to check, um you want to, based off the expression, you want to be able to get the eventual value out of that expression. Okay, logically, is that and double or even exclamation mark, which is like a negation. Okay, for all of this, you'll be seeing how all of these things work even when we're doing our practical. So sit tight and stay with me. Okay, so next thing is template retrials and concatenation. So in JavaScript, you know, there's a little history of JavaScript, and when we get to have to delve into JavaScript so well, right, in coming times, you see how JavaScript works from when we started writing JavaScript to the modern version. Before now, when you want to have multiple things, you could use the plus. Okay, you could use your plus sign. Let me show you a sample of what I'm trying to say. So in this sample, I'm going to be showing you how variables work. First of all, I will say, remember, we don't use var anymore. We now use let and const. So I'm going to say const student name is equals to Jacqueline, and I'm going to say const students 2 name is equals to brand. Now, there are two ways you could have, if you want to add variables and other text together, there are two ways you could have done it. Before now, what people will do is they'll say, okay, response is plus student 2 name, say and then you add a plus again, plus are in the class, right? Now let's log our response. Let's show it as an output to see what we have. Okay, so let's see over here. So see what we have: Jacqueline and Brian. So I need to put under space here. Jacqueline and Brian are in the class. You can see that over here, right? You can see that over here, right? Are in the class. Now, this is how it was always done with the older JavaScript. However, now we now have a way to write it using what? Using what we call template literals. All right, template literals. We now have a way to write it by saying what? New response is equals to. Then we do this. Use the backticks. You see, we have backticks over here. This is what we call backticks. This approach is what using what? Concatenation. Concatenation. Yes, I hope I spelled that correctly. And now this one will be using what? Backticks with template literals. So we say what? Student name. So to reference a variable, you start with a dollar sign and say what? Student name, student one name, right? Jacqueline, and then say student two name, then say are in the class. All right. Now let's see. Let's log this response and let's see what it gives us. So you see, we get the same thing. Okay, I put a full stop here. I didn't put a full stop in the first one. So you see, we get the same thing. However, one seems very, very. Let me close this. Okay, sorry. Let me close this one. So you see, we get the same results. Okay, you get the same results, and but this one is a very smoother way to write it. All right, this is a very smoother way to write, unlike this one, which is error prone. Okay, so that's sorry, let me close my. Okay, all right. So that's where template literals comes in and the new JavaScript method comes in. Okay, we would also still see more of that in coming times. We'll do the responsive design, Abdulatif. After, I want us to cover these basics of JavaScript. Then once we are doing our I updated the portfolio. So once we want to do the JavaScript of that, I'll cover the responsive design also. So I want to ensure that we stay till the end, and so we can see how the eventual thing is going to look like. Trust me, you're going to love it. Okay, so functions. Now, functions, see functions as what? Codes that you can reuse. All right, codes that you can reuse. For example, from this little picture, something goes in and something comes out. So functions work in a way that you give it something, it processes it, and it gives you the results. Okay, so when creating functions, what you do is you write your function keyword, you write the name of the function. Let me see. So it starts with the name, then params. So name could be um show my name. That could be the name of your function. Okay. Params, what you pass into this bracket is params, and that one is not compulsory. Okay. The main thing you now write here is what you want the function to do for you. So you could just say that what the function should do is it should log what? My name. My name is Simlex. Okay. And then what you just do is at this point you are going to what? You're going to log the function. And when you are calling a function, you call it and have your parentheses afterwards. Okay, when you call the function, you call it and have your parentheses afterwards, because you need to that's what we call what? Function invocation. So let's see what we have here. My name is Simlex. All right, so that's you invoking your function after you have written it. All right, now back to our documents. Now, functions are basically reusable code. So functions are codes that when you write it somewhere, you can always use it over and over and over again. All right. Conditionals. Conditionals is see it as you giving options. You are being given options. Okay. You're saying, oh, if this is this, go this way. Else, do this other thing. All right. For example, if you have a variable that is called score, let's say somewhere in your application you have written score to be 120, then you have a variable called score. If score is greater than 80, right, this sign means greater than. Your right elbow, when you bend it, that's greater than. The left one is what? Less than. All right, so if score is greater than 80, so if 120 for example is greater than 80, you in your call basis you tell it what you want the program to do. All right, else, that means you are saying else if it is not greater than 80. So if it is less than 80, you should do something else. All right, you even in that else, before that else, you can have an else if. An else if will help you to now specify again another condition. Okay, so that's basically, it's so dynamic. All right, so they basically work with a true or false value. All right, loops, when you hear things like loop, see loops as you are trying to repeat something. Okay, you are trying to repeat something over and over again. All right, and for the loops, you can have for loop, you can have while loop. And when you write your loop, you basically want to specify the for keyword. Then when you open your parentheses, you specify first of all the starting point of your loop iterator. We call it iterator. this I is the iterator. It could be another letter, but then that is your iterator. Okay, so you're saying start from 0, then the middle thing is the condition that you want the loop to run for. So if you are saying I less than 5, then you're trying to say that as long as the value of I is less than 5, you know that I is starting at 0 here. So you are saying as long as the value is less than 5, increment I. This I plus plus, when you say plus plus, you are basically saying what? Increment I. So let me show you a sample of what that is. So let's create a function. Function show me my name 5 times. Remember, always write your functions in camel case. So now we have our for loop. So just like we have it here, first of all, you start with your iterator. What do you want it to do first? Let I be equals to what? 0. Okay. Then after that, say what? As long as I is less than what? Let's say 10 in this our case. Put your semicolon again. Then you say what? Increment I. So always increment number of I, and so on and so forth. Okay. So increment I plus plus will mean that what? Let's say for example, starting out, I was 0. I was 0. When you do I plus plus, what I becomes next is what? 1. If you do I plus plus again, what I becomes next is what? 2. If you do I plus plus again, what I becomes next is what? 3. So it's just as though you are incrementing it with what? By 1. All right. So now you say I plus plus, then you then say what? What do you want us to show? Want us to show my name, right? Then say console.log. So whose name are we using for this sample? Who is commenting first? Who is following me? Anyone? Good. Thanks, Eloid. So we are using what? Saying Eloid. Um, yes, let's just say Eloid. Okay. So now, how do you call your function? We want to show it in our console log. So let's just say console.log. Oh, someone says you can't see my screen. I just hope everyone can see my screen really. So you realize that, see, something happened. Who can tell me why this is showing me this and not the results? Who can tell me? Anyone? Who can possibly tell me why it is showing me this, the function I wrote, and not the results? Anyone? Nobody? Remember I said when you are running your function, you need to what? Put your parentheses. Very, very important. You need to put your parentheses. So now that I put my parentheses, see what it shows me now. It shows me only 10 times. 10 times. So this 10 that says here, it means that he ran it 10 times. Okay. So that's basically what? How for loop. So it runs your things repeatedly. All right, repeatedly. So nextly, we're going to talking about what? Arrays. Arrays. Basically, arrays work from see arrays as you trying to list items, right? When you are trying to list things, when you are trying to like put things on a list, okay, it's basically what you using what? Arrays. All right. So for example, let's say we have a list of fruits, different fruits. So we say what? Fruits are what? Apple, banana, kiwi, and so on and so forth. So you are basically listing them, and when you list your arrays, you have them in what? In square brackets. And for each item of the array, you have them in what? In quotes. Okay. And if they are numbers, you don't have them in quotes. And you can also have things like objects even in your array. Okay. And you want to access your arrays, you basically what? You use the square brackets. Okay. So now to access the first part of the array, you use index 0. All right. You specify the name of the array first, and you use what? Square bracket 0. That way you access the first array. If you are accessing the second one, use index 1. So don't be confused that, oh, why are you starting with index 0? That's how JavaScript works. Array in JavaScript works. You basically what? Index the first element with what? In with 0. Okay, not 1. Also, when you want to get the number of elements you have in your array, use what? Use length. Okay, use length to get the number of elements you have in your what? In your array. Now if you want to add things into your array, let's say for example you have the list of this you have this fruit and you want to add mango to it, and you don't just want to cancel and manually add it, you can use push. Okay, so let me show you a sample. Or I think we'll be able to run a sample when you're having a practical so I can save some time. You're almost shooting into 1 hour. So when we use push, we'll be able to what? Add an item into an array. Please make sure you're noting these things down. It's very, very important. And when you use pop, it removes the what? The last item of the array. Okay. Now the DOM. The DOM. DOM is basically what? Document object model. And the DOM is basically your web page. All right, you see your web page. You know, yesterday we had done our portfolio, and we did the web page portfolio. And basically, what I want you to see is that what that web page that we did, you see it as a tree. All right. So JavaScript talks to the HTML through the DOM. All right. So JavaScript talks to the HTML through that what? Through that your tree in its case. Okay, so you see this sample image I have here. You have HTML, you have the head tag, you have the title, you have the body, you have the heading, you have the paragraph, you have the URL. So you see in this picture, you see what? Document starts first, because what the whole HTML is what is an HTML document. All right, then you have an HTML, then branches into what? The head. Inside the head, you have the title. Inside the body, you have what? The div. Then inside div, you have the what? P tag, the H tag, and the URL. So that's how it keeps going down and down and down, as much as you have so many things. So imagine when you have a very big website, you if you see the DOM tree for it, it's always going to be super, super, super massive. Okay, so your whole web page is basically um a document object model. Okay, and it always has children starting with what? The document. All right, so now with JavaScript you can select elements. All right, and how do you select elements? You can select elements with different ways. One of the ways you can select elements is using what? Query selector. We'll be using most of these things in our practical today, and I want your VS Code to be ready ahead of time. We'll be using what? We can use what? Query selector. When you use query selector, all you do is what? You specify the class name that you want to select. That's when using what? Query selector, you specify what? Dot class name. What class name do you want to select? Is it header? Is it footer? Is it nav? Is it section? Is it section container? Anything that's be you have. If it's section container you want to update, for example with JavaScript, you say dot section container. Okay, and that way you assign this to a variable, and that variable already holds this element information. Next one is query selector all. This one is as though you are selecting all what? All classes. This is not a single selection this time, but rather a group selection. The next one is what? You selecting by ID. So when you select by ID, you are not using a dot, but instead it's now IDs, definitely with the hash. Okay, so we'll be seeing this even in the practicals when we are doing our practicals today. Now, with JavaScript, you can also change the content and styles of your elements. All right. So how do you change the content and styles? So first of all, the text content, you can specify the text content. When you say dot text content, you can change it and add the new text you want to put there. So if, for example, you use document.query selector header text, all right, and you will now say dot text content. Basically, you are trying to tell JavaScript is that will change the text content of this element I just selected, all right, and you change it to the new text. Okay. When you say dot style dot color, you are basically saying that you want to change the color of that element that you have selected, all right, and also class list. So we have a lot of properties you can use to change the JavaScript, but this is just to show you that what these are like the possibilities with what JavaScript. Now, another thing we'll be talking about lastly is what events. With events, you can react to what the user is doing on your application. That's the idea of events. You being able to what react to what the user is doing on your application. For example, when the user clicks on something, when the user what submits a form, when the user what hovers their mouse on something, you want to be able to what listen to what they have done. Those things are what they are called events. All right, and these are just a few events that users could do on your application. You should also note that there are a lot more events that they could also perform on your application. Just think of events as actions that users take when they are on your application. Okay, and then for the first part, or one of the things we'll be doing today is our click counter. We'll be building a click counter, right? And I'm going to show you the step-by-step process of building that. But before we do that, what we are going to do first is we are going to cover our responsive design from yesterday. We'll cover that first. When we cover that, we'll then cover the click counter if there's still time. So let's open this. Who has the VS Code ready to move with me? Who has the VS Code ready to move with me? All right, this is up. I'm going to close this. Let's close this. All right, thank you. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let me show you what we'll be doing. So you see this, right? This is what we'll be doing. That animation that does seem. So when they refresh your page, they see this very nice animation. All right, that's what we'll be doing, and I'll be showing you the step-by-step process on how we can do it. Just before then, let's quickly add responsiveness to our design to our page. Now, when you click on inspect, like I showed you yesterday, let me reduce this now. Now, when you put it on the right hand side, you'll be able to see how it looks on mobile. You can either do that, or you can what? You can do inspect, and you can click on this button here. You click on the button here. Once you close this guy, sorry, hold on. Yeah, once you close this guy, you can still have the mobile view just like this. All right. So we then start. We go over to CSS. You don't need to write any more HTML because responsiveness is basically what a CSS thing. So you go to the end of your CSS, and we start what with the responsive design. So where we start what? We start saying what? Responsive design. Then when you're writing responsive design with CSS, all you have to do is what? Do at media max width of what? 1024 pixels. Now, we want to look at it. What do you want to make responsive? First of all, let's make this services grid responsive. So we'll come over to this. We say what? Dot services grid and what? Do grid template columns. Repeat to 1FR. Remember from yesterday, let me search for it. When you highlight your class, you can do Ctrl F to search. So from yesterday we did what? Repeat 4FR. But now I'm using what? 1FR. So you see it's now 2 2, right? 2 2 on a row. Okay. So now next we now say what? The experience container. That's what? Grid templates columns 1FR. Right, experience is over here. So now, before now we had it like this, but now we are making each of them to 1FR. Okay, so you see that with just single line is already making a whole lot of sense. Now, next thing we are going to then start is, now we have done a max width of 1024, which means that from here to, so look at the top of my browser over here. This is 508, right? So from here down to 1024, just watch it as I scroll. Once I pass 1024, see what happens. You see what happened? You see what happened? Drop a emoji, drop a thumbs up. So once it's less than 1024, what happens? It picks this style that I've written here. Same for services. Okay, it picks the style once it's less than 1024. Picks the style. So you have two 1FR, two on a row, and this one on a row. Did anyone see that? Drop a emoji if you saw that. Drop a thumbs up if you saw that. I want to be sure we are following. All right. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve. So now that is you saying that what you are saying. This you saying apply these styles when what? When the screen size is less than 1024. Okay, so that's basically what happens. Okay, so now you want to now apply another style when it is less than 768. For example, when it is what? 768. Remember, responsive design is ensuring that, be it large screen, small screen, or smallest screen, this is like computer, this is like your tab, this is like your tab, and this is like your mobile phone. Okay, something around there, like your mobile phone. You can also click from this list. You can see iPad Mini 768. You can see um Samsung Galaxy. See how small it is. You can see different devices here basically. Okay, so basically what we are just trying to do is we are trying to design for what? Different devices to ensure that it is adaptive in different screens. All right, so now, and if it's on a very wider screen, your element will not float around. You see how it is very compact. It's very compact. So now let's scroll back down to 102 1240 1024. So you see it's now on 2. So now we I think on this screen size we are good. we are good on this screen size. Okay, so now let's narrow it down to 768. Anything less than 768. So right now we just want to try to see how we can make it better on 768. Let's say at media max width 768 pixels. Then say header container, flex direction what column. So you see that here. See it's already on top of each other. Then you say gap of what 20 pixels. So we have it a little more gap. Then we go to the nav. Who can tell me where the nav is? All these ones are the nav, right? All these are the nav. Then what? Give the gap 20 pixels. Make it a little bit closer to each other. Then we say what? The row content. The H1 on the row content. We give the font size to what? 32 pixels. So I think before now, okay, it was bigger. So now we just made it smaller. Okay. Then after that, I think we should also make this one centralized. So let's look for where that is. All we have to do is come here. So this is on logo. So we'll come here and we say what? Dot logo. So let's see the style we gave it before. Before we just give it all the style. So what we just do right now is we are going to what centralize the text. We're going to say text align of what center. All right, and see it's now in the center. But when you increase more than 760 68, you see what happens. You can see what happens. All right, so this is basically how responsive design works. So now let's continue that. So the image, the about image, let's also update that. Remember yesterday I talked about order. So I talked about flex order, how order ensures that you can reorder the appearance of objects. So because we made it -1, it's definitely going to start first before any other object, because what this about image is inside the flex container. Okay, so you see this is the image. This was the previous time we gave it. All right, so this order just makes it come first. So now let's go over to the services grid. Let's edit it a bit. So services grid. So we are going to say the grid template column should be one FR. So let's see what we have. Then we are going to say that the work gallery grid template column should be what one FR, and the work item dot large, the grid column should be span 1. So remember, as I yesterday, we ensured we made this one span 2, and each of this span 1. But now we want each of them to what to show on one line, because I mean this is now a smaller screen, right? So then next we are going to say contacts, the footer rather, footer H2 should be font size about 28 pixels. All right, 28 pixels. Before I think it was bigger. Yeah, it was bigger, so now we're making 28 pixels. So lastly, we want to now style for very smaller screens for phones. Anything less than what 480. So we see how this is on your phone. So I want us to be able to do this responsibly, so that when we send people, we are not shy to your laptop. No, after this class, you'll be able to send your link and tell them to check it on any device possible. Okay. Now, so we are going to make sure that we say that what. Let's copy this comment and say apply these styles when the screen size is less than what 768 pixels. All right. Then we are going to come here. I'm going to say maximum width of 480 pixels. All right. So this is for like mobile phones. All right. So we are going to come here. So it's always good to put comments so that you can come back when you are studying the code to come and see why you did what you did. Okay. So the arrow buttons are going to give them flex direction of column. Then we are going to give the experience header flex direction of column. So let's see what happens when we do that. First of all, you know what the arrow buttons are. The arrow buttons are the ones at the top here. Before they were side by side, right? So now we are putting them on top of each other. Now the experience header, let me come over here. These are the experience header. Now we have it on top of each other. Okay. But now I want them to not be aligned to the center. I want it to be aligned to the beginning. So we say what align items, flex stats. So it brings them to the beginning just like this. Then what the gap becomes 5 pixels. So we put a space in between. Then lastly, we are going to update the social links on the bottom. These ones down here. Let's make them wrap. So I know I had explained flex wrap before, but let's see them in action. So display will be flex. Flex wrap would now be wrap. See what happens. And justify content would be sorry. Justify content will be center. And we have a gap of about 5 pixels. So in scenario where that is smaller, see what happens? It keeps wrapping. I hope you can see that. So it keeps wrapping. That's the idea about having wrap. Okay. Okay. So let's see which other. Okay, now this about me section feels stringed. Okay, feels stringed. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's see if it feels okay in 700. Okay, it still feels okay in 700. um let's see. I think what we'll do is we'll make for mobile phone less than 460. What we'll do is we'll make it them stay on each other. So we'll just come over to this part about. So this is it is we use the about container. Let's see what the about container style looks like. So it's currently using a grid, right? It's currently using a grid. So what we could do is, oh, sorry, I just quit my VS Code mistakenly. I pressed Command Q, and that's mistakenly quit my VS Code, but it's back up now. Okay. I think I'll have to start. Yeah, I have to start the. Just a minute, guys. Our server is going to be up. So once the go live option shows up, we're just going to click on go live and it's going to be up. Okay, go live is now up. So let me just click on go live. And here we have it. Okay, good. So let's come back to this format file. Let's refresh. So now, as I was saying earlier, the about container, right? Let's see what style we add here. So we add a grid, right? So what we're going to do is we are just going to come over here and say about container. Then we say we can do two things. We can now make it a display flex, right? And flex direction would then be column. Let's see how that looks. Great, great, great. So you see that anything from more than four um 480, it becomes side by side, and anything less than 480, it becomes on top. All right. So who sees this to be very beautiful? Drop an emoji. Drop an emoji. Drop an emoji. Great, great, great. So and you notice that it still looks great even on desktop. Now there's a tool I'm going to give us for staying back till this moment. This is one of my freebies I'm going to be giving to us. There is a tool called, okay, yeah. So there's a very powerful tool, an extension that is called, let me look for the name. It's a mobile app presenter. Okay, yes. Mobile simulator. Okay, mobile simulator, and it helps you to see how your project is going to look on your mobile phone even before it leaves um your device. All right, let's see. This one still looks a little bit shrink. Let's see what we can do about this. Let's see what we can do about this. This is under the services and under service grid. Okay, I used service grid instead of services grid. That was why. Okay, okay, okay. So guys, this is a very very amazing, clean, modern, minimalistic, and great portfolio you could ever have. That if you show anyone out there, they would know that you are a very very solid person, and you know this is something that you can actually show out there to anyone, and they can be sure that you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about when you talk about you being a developer. Anyway, so download this extension also. All you have to go to your extension tab over here, click on manage extension, and click on this Chrome Web Store and search for mobile simulator. Yeah, this one. This one is a very very great tool for us. We have over 1 million users currently using it, and it's a future tool. Okay, so for those that do not have it, get it and start making sure your websites are responsive. There was someone that said he has a lot of websites on Netlify. I hope you now get to start making your website responsive. Okay, all right. So now, and you can also record. You can also record, you know, your screen also. All right. So that is going to be it for this class on this particular portfolio. Then before we go over to the next, now um we are now going to deploy our application once again. So what we're going to do is we are going to click on this, going to add it. Always remember, guys, add your commit messages on GitHub. So what we are going to do is we are going to say fit. Fit is like short form of feature. If you added a new feature, so you say what, add JavaScript. Then this one, we didn't really write JavaScript here, so I'm going to remove this. This was just some test runs we were doing. Oh, I told you guys I was going to. Nobody was reminding me. I told you guys I was going to do what we have somewhere here. So let's do that shortly before we wrap this up. So let me quickly show you what we'll be doing. So you can see this. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Okay. So this is currently 7:10. So we have two projects we could possibly do right now. We have this and we have what our click counter. Let me show you that also. Let me show you that also. This is our click counter. So with comments, which one would you guys want us to do? Because we have to pick one. Either we do this one would really just be this, and there's a button down here that takes the user back to the top, or should we do this click counter? Regardless of whichever one you pick, I'm still going to send you the codes for both so that we can always check. So which one do you want us to do on this class? So someone said the click counter. Okay. Three more responses and we begin. Who else? Okay, Michael says click counter. So I think a lot of people wants the click counter. So that's two people. Let's see more responses. But while that is ongoing, okay, okay, Steve, okay, Louise, okay, you win. All right, we're going to the click counter it is then. So for the portfolio, I'm going to be sending you the JavaScript code, right? But let's get on with the deployment first for this. All right, so I'm just going to go over here and we're going to commit our changes for this. I'm going to comment this out so we don't get an error while deploying. So let's so now when pushing your code, you just do git push. Now I'm going to show you what the result would be like. So when you come to your Netlify, you'd come to deploys that project you created yesterday, and when you see this, you see the time started 7:12. So you realize that it has started deploying and it has deployed already. So when you open your deploy production deploy, you see this, and let me drop it on the comment so you guys can also check it out. So you realize that, let's see if it has our recent changes. Let's try to scale it down. So you realize that it has our changes. It's on a small screen, and our changes is already up within seconds. Within seconds, guys. That's very impressive. So guys, you now know how you can deploy your site immediately or almost immediately, and people can have it all over the world, and people can be able to what see it. All right. So let's get into the click counter. So this click counter is a very interesting one that you would really use a lot of JavaScript on this one, and even little HTML and CSS. So I'm going to be because of time and because we only understand how this HTML works, I'm going to be having a for quick count. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to create a new project for that. Okay, so we have this click counter over here. So what we are going to do, we are going to have our what? HTML file. I already have an HTML file for this, so I'm just going to put it here. I'm going to. So the style was internal style, not inline. not external. It was inline style that was used here. Okay, I'm going to show you how that looks like now. So you can see this. Nothing works here. Nothing works just yet. Just CSS and just good looking. Now we'll now start by what, creating our GS file. So our GS file is, so over here I've created a script that links it. You can see this. So we have to create a GS file that is what, click counter.js. So I'm going to create this.js. I'm going to start by now what, by creating our variables. So now what are the elements we want to get from the HTML? First of all, realize I want to be able to know what element this is. I want to be able to know what element this is and what element this is. Okay. So first of all, we have what, this element, which is our 0, this guy. We have the click me button. We have a button that shows some fun facts, and we have a button here that resets the counter. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm now going to create a variable for the elements. Get elements from the HTML. All right, I'm going to say const counter display is equals to document. Remember dots. Now how can we get elements? You know, I said we can use query selector, you can use get element by ID, you can use query selector the all. But this one reason we'll get element by ID. I'm using what, the ID of what, counter. All right, ID of counter because we already have an element that's what ID of counter. Okay, so this already what, counter display is already mapping to what, this particular element. All right, so next thing we are going to come is we're going to say const click button. So for that one, I'm also going to say document dot get element by ID. Or I'm going to say what, click button. And if you had guessed that is this, you are correct. Okay, because this ID is one that has what, this element is one that has ID of what, click button. Then next thing we are going to say const reset button. That's what document dot get element by ID reset button. All right, and that is this one. Okay, and last one I want to pick is what, this fun facts. So what, const fun facts display is equals to document dot get element by ID fun facts. All right, and we have basically picked this element, our fun fact element, and also the reset counter element, reset button element. Now, what is the initial number of our counter? 0. So you say what, we want to initialize the counter variable. So what's the starting count? 0. Now you don't use const for this kind of variable because you are going to be updating the variable. So always know that if you will be updating the variable, you would not use const for it. Instead, you use what, let. If you use const, you'll not be able to update it later in your application. Okay. So now, at every point when we update this counter, for example, this one that is currently working, let's say we put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See, it shows the fun fact. 10 clicks, you are getting the hang of it. Let's go to 25. It shows another one, 25 clicks, you're on fire. You know, so at every point it shows different fun facts. So we want to ensure that we have the object. Now we'll be using an object to store all of the numbers and the fun fact for each of those numbers. So object will work for us for that. So we are going to sort fun facts to display. So we are going to have const. This const is because we are not going to be changing the value of this fun fact. Okay, is basically a variable to hold the values for us. So we're going to have objects. We're going to say 10. So for number 10, what do you want to show? Want to show. So I have a list of the whole thing. I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. This is supposed to be equals to. So for 10, for number 10, we are showing this. 10 clicks, you are getting the hang of it. For number 25, we want to show what? 25 clicks, you are on fire. For number 50, we want to show what? 50 clicks, you are halfway to 100. For number 100, don't show what? 100 clicks, century achieved, and so on and so forth. Okay? So now, we then start our functions. Remember that when we click on each of these functions, a confetti is created. So let's write the function that creates that confetti for us. So first of all, um, we have a comment function to create confetti. So we say function creates confetti. So like I said earlier, your function create allows parameters, and inside this space you write what you want the function to do. Okay. So for now, let's have this function here, and we'll come and write the details of the function. I want us to be able to first of all click on this button and update this number. Okay, very very important first. So let's write the function for the important things. I'll come back for the things that are like add-ons. All right. So first thing, we are going to be adding an event listener. Remember I said something about events. All right, on our main click handler, we are going to be saying what click button dot add event listener. All right, what are you listening for? You are listening for a click. All right, then when you get that click, what do you want to do? You want to run a function. So you say what function, then the event, you pass it as a parameter, and you now write your function inside here. So what do you want to do? First thing is that what when you click on that button, you want to what increment your counter. And remember what I said about incrementing when I was talking about for loop, the plus plus. When you have your counter and say plus plus, you are basically what adding one to the counter. So remember our counter was 0 before. When we say counter plus plus, we are basically saying what counter would what whatever counter is, then plus 1. So starting out it will be 0 plus 1, which is what 1. So counter will now be what 1. Okay. So if you try to click here, at the moment we have not finished the function. So someone's mic is unmuted. So next thing we are going to update the display. Okay. So the counter display now, the counter display, remember what it is, this guy, this one, get element by the counter. So you need to be able to update display so that when it increments, it will show that display. Please, if your mic is muted, please mute your mic. Thank you. So we then say what the display dot test content. The test content is what you are going to be updating to do what the new value of what count. All right, that's what you are going to be updating. So now let's click on it. So you can see this is now updating. All right, it's now updating. Um, I miss iChat. Hi there. Um, okay. So um, next thing we want to do is we want to also have a function. Remember that over here when we click on this guy, this container pops up, pops up. Right now, if you click on it, it doesn't pop up. So what we want to do is we want to be able to have a function that says what pop counter. But right now we will not write anything in the function just yet. So we just ensure that this one pops the counter. So we say pop counter here, and we say what, add pop animation. Okay, so that's basically the whole idea of this one first, just so that when we are done with this, the main event, we can now update these functions. Okay, so when we add the pop animation, so next thing we want to do is that we want to now search for, if you notice over here, if you click on this place, the confetti is shown from this place. Click on this place, the confetti is shown from this place. Click on middle, the confetti is shown from this place. So it's shown based off the position of the mouse. So because of that, we want to what? Get the position, get the mouse click position. Please, uh, whoever is unmuted should please mute. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we say const x is equals to what? Event dot. So the event is what? The event that you have gotten from here, which is from
Makeup
your
item
previous
till I
relationship.
stumbled on your page and soon
Please,
to be
please
35-year-old
mute
me.
your mic.
For
Please
seven
mute your
years
mic.
into
Please mute
following
your mic.
you, and I have
Can
learned
anyone hear
so
me?
much. I can do my own makeup now
Hello?
after painful trial and error. I can't
Hello?
tell you how long it took me to learn to blend eyeshadow. I also started
Hello?
my perfume collection just from your K&E recommendations.
Um,
And now I have over 100 plus bottles of fragrances because it's become
hello?
my thing. Thank you so much for all you do. We may not personally know you,
I
and some of
cannot.
us may never run into you in public
Can anyone hear
spaces
me?
because we're so far apart or even ever in life. But I just want you to know you are
Can
very well loved and appreciated from afar.
Okay. So I'm
It's
just
so
going to.
sweet. Like, this
Okay,
is so
great.
sweet. Okay, let
I've
me
been able
continue.
to
Please continue to
do
do what
something.
you're doing, but always remember your health, both mental and physical,
All right.
always and absolutely comes
So I'm just going to
no matter
continue
how
now.
long it
I hope
takes for
you
you
all can
to
still hear me.
regroup and come back, some of us will always be waiting patiently
Show of hands,
and looking forward to
comments,
your
thumbs up if
return.
you can still
I'm
hear
a
me.
Ghanaian born American, and I truly hope we get to cross paths one day. However, if that never happens in
Anyone?
my time, know
All
that
right.
there's
Thanks, Elliot.
someone out
Thanks, Elliot.
there who is forever
Okay.
grateful for you.
Okay.
And
Back to where we
whatever you
were.
share, I will
So we
always
then
be
say const
praying.
y will be what? The client y of where the person clicked. So this client x and client y, some people might be saying, oh, why, what does this mean? It basically means the x-axis of wherever I clicked on my particular UI, and the y is like the vertical axis. So the x and y is what we are trying to get. So with this client x and client y. So now we are now going to create that confetti at that position. Now our confetti is supposed to get some parameters. So we are going to just say create confetti at click position. I'm going to say create confetti x comma y. All right. So um at this point, we have not created our function, so we are still going to come back to that. Then lastly, we are now going to go next to what, the reset button handler. Over here we have a reset button. No, over here when you say reset. Okay, our one is not working yet, but if you click here, it resets, right? So we have a reset button handler. So what we basically do is that we create an event listener for that. Okay, so I can now. All right, great. So now reset button dot add event listener, click function. So for this one, we just create a function, and first of all, when we click on reset, we want to what, reset the counter to what, to 0. All right, we set the counter to 0. So it's by doing that means you are saying count should go back towards 0. So we say count equals to 0. Then we say dot counter display dot text content. Remember what our counter display is, right? Should now take the count of what the new count value that we have here. All right. Then the fun fact display that we have, the text content should now be what? Oh, sorry. One sec, please. Okay. All right. So moving on, we'll then have what? The counter called what? Counter resets. Starts clicking again. So after that, let's see what happens. Let's first test it. You see that that works, right? But you notice that in this one we have here, when we click and we say reset counter, after some time it goes off, but this one does not go off. So what we use to set it off is what? Set timeout. Then this set timeout is actually a function from JavaScript that allows you to be able to do things after a particular period of time. So now say that this function should run, right? And we say fun fact display the text contents to be equals to empty string, and then that should happen afterwards 2 seconds. 2 seconds, but we are using 2000 because this function uses what? Milliseconds. So 2000 milliseconds is also 2 seconds. So what we are, let's just add a comment here. Say clear message after 2 seconds. Okay. So if we click on this, 1, 2, gone. Okay, that's how this one really works. So guys, I hope you are following. Also note that this is the same one we'll be using for React. When we are doing React, this same project is what we are going to be using to learn React also. So I'll be showing you how this state works, how this effect works, and all of those things. But I need you to understand it from JavaScript perspective first. Okay. So um let's add one more thing. Let's add a welcome message. This one is optional, but let's just add a welcome message. So in the window, we add the event listener to the window itself. So the window is like the window is here. Window okay. So what you do is say load, then write your function, then you say what? Fun fact display dot text content equals to click the button to start counting. Okay, and after that, okay, let's see what happens. So let's refresh this page. So you see this shows up almost immediately. So who can tell me how do I clear this after 3 seconds? Fastest fingers. How do I 3 seconds? Anyone? How do I clear this text after 3 seconds? Anyone? No one saying anything. Okay, I'm basically going to write. Basically, you want to use a set timeout. Set timeout, and you what? Say form fact display the test content should be back to what? Nothing. All right. Then you see after 3 seconds. So that's how you do that. Okay. So let's after 3 seconds it disappears. All right. So now next thing we want to do is we want this guy to pop. So we have our pop function here. So now let's start writing the pop function right now. So basically what we want this to happen is that what? For pop counter, we want the counter display. Then we want to add something to the class. We say class lists dot add. They want to add what? Pop to it. Then after that, we want it to clear out after some certain time. So you say set timeout, and we do this. So that means you're trying to see that the counter display, the class list, remove this pop class list from the remove this pop class from the class list. Okay. Afterwards, after 0.2 seconds, which is what? 200 milliseconds. So what do we have now? So that means immediately remove. So if we put like 4 seconds here, 4,000, which is 4 seconds, it's going to be slower. It's going to wait. Then after 4 seconds, it goes back. So, but 0.2 seconds is almost immediate. You understand? It just stays for a very short while and comes back. All right. So, um, the other function we need to do is we need to create our confetti. So for a confetti, we are basically going to be creating multiple colors that would like pop out on a particular click. Okay. So what we do is we first say what? Create multiple confetti pieces for each click. Then say const confetti equals to 15. Okay, that's confetti count rather. The confetti count is equals to 15. Then the colors would be a list of colors. So let me just put it here for you. Right. And after that, we are going to have a for loop. We say for let I equals to 0. You know what I equals to 0 means already. We are starting I with 0. They are saying as long as I is less than the confetti count, right? It should what? It should increment I. So I keeps increasing until it is what? Until it is 15. Okay. So then we then say what? Confetti will be equals to what? Document dot. So we want to what? Create a new element. So you can also even create a new element that is not in your HTML. You can create it. All right. So we want to create a new element for those confetti that will pop up. So we say that create a div. Then you now say what? Confetti dot class name will be equals to what? Confetti. Okay. So technically, what we are trying to do is we are trying to do something like this: div class name confetti. That's what we are trying to do right now with our what? With our JavaScript. All right. So after that, we are now going to give it a random color. Random color for each confetti. So we are now going to say const color is equals to colors, which is the colors that we have put here in this array. Colors. Then we'll now use there's what we call math properties. All right. So there's math.random to get random number. There's math.floor. There's math. A lot of math properties. So we are just going to be using two of them. math.floor. So this one will return the greatest number, all right, that is less than or equals to the number that you pass into it. So math.floor, then you have math.random times colors dot length. Okay, so I'm just trying to get a random number within this these numbers. Okay, then from there you are trying to, you remember that I said earlier that to get um a particular index from this, we can say colors. For example, you can say colors of index 0. It's going to give you what, the first one. You say colors of index 2, it's going to give what, the third one, right? So this one is basically what you randomly getting what, any of this between 0 and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So between 0 and 5, this line will give you between 0 and 5 into what, this guy, so that these colors can be colors of maybe index 0, index 5, index 3, index 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, so after you have that, next thing you are gonna go and say is confetti dot style the background color to be equals to color. Okay, now we want to make sure that those confetti are on that place that I clicked on. So remember that when I created this previous function, I put the client x and client y as arguments here. So I'm going to have to create them as parameters here. So I'm just going to say x, y. We are expecting x, y to be put in the function. Okay. So I'm just going to say what, position the confetti at, I'm going to say confetti dot dot left equals to x pixels. Okay, so that's me trying to say that whatever value of x we have, it should be, if it was 20, it should be 20 pixels from the left. Remember I told you about how the left, the top, the bottom works, right, from our css of yesterday. So style dot stop should be equals to y plus px. Okay, then next we want to add it to the page. You say document the body, the append child. So this is a property that we can use to add the confetti that we have created here. We now add it towards the body. So let's see what happens. So you can see that our confetti is not working yet just as it should, right? It's just putting so many clicks, and the clicks are not even leaving the pages yet. So the clicks are not even leaving just yet. So let's see why they are not leaving. So right now it creates the document good. That's why you can create it. It gets the random color good. That's why you can see different colors. Then it positions it where I click good. That's because you can see it where I clicked on the button. And we add that it actually shows up, right? So now what we have not done is we have not animated the confetti, and yes, and to disappear. So sure that we put some angle and rotation to it. So let's see what to the random times max dot pi times 2, and velocity of our confetti will be 100, random number 2 times 100. So you see how I'm using the operators here, the plus, the times, and whatnot. Like I told you earlier, operators also are used in JavaScript. Your plus, your multiplication, and so on and so forth. So math the random times 300. So these are for our angle, our velocity, and our rotation. And we'll then be using it our animate confetti function. So let's create our function for animate confetti. Then for the particular function, we are then going to say that we are calling the function here. Going to passing that into the function, passing the angle, passing the velocity, and passing the what? The value of rotation. Now, what we have is that what we now create the function itself. All right, and this is also going to be quite a long function, but it's going to be an interesting one. So there are certain things we want to ensure that what when you click on this guy, it moves. Okay, so that x axis that we have created should also change. All right, it should move. The opacity to change because we want it to fade, and also we need it to rotate also. So we'll be creating variables for this. So first of all, we are going to say what, let pos x equals to 0, let pos y equals to 0, let opacity equals to 1, and let current rotation equals to 0. Okay, next we then want to say what, constant velocity. Oh, did I put velocity? No, this is supposed to be velocity. Yeah, so velocity x, right, would then be what, math dot cos angle. So this is some very tricky JavaScript just for calculation basic, just for calculation sake. Okay, then we have to do the velocity of y also. Velocity y will be what, similar, but then we are going to use the sine angle. Then we are going to create a gravity also. Gravity to be what, 300. Now the start time, when do we want the animation start? We want to start immediately, so we are going to what, using what, date, date dot now. Remember I was telling you about data types and I told you how we have different. This is also another one, date. So when you are, you can create functions inside functions. Okay, you can create functions inside functions. Sorry, I needed to plug my laptop. It stopped charging for a minute. Okay, so you can create functions inside functions, right? And here is how that works. Inside is our function. We create another function, call it updates, and then we have what, const current time equals to date dot now, right? And we say const elapsed. If we want to check if that animation has actually elapsed, current time minus start time divided by 1000. Okay, we want to convert it to seconds. Then next off, we are going to what, be updating the position. of that particular um, confetti. So I'm going to say position x, which is poxs, is equals to velocity x times elapsed, all right, times the elapsed time. And then we are going to say position y is equals to velocity y times the elapsed time plus 0.5 times the gravity value that we have times elapsed and times elapsed again. So this part, I'm just trying to ensure that we get this done because this is really calculation intensive, all right? But I just hope we are following also. So current rotation will then be the rotation value that we created earlier, the variable that we created earlier, times elapsed times 2, all right? Opacity will then be equals to 1 minus, when you reduce the opacity, you reduce it by 1, it fades out. The more you reduce by 1, the more it fades out. Okay, so elapsed divided by 1. So we just want this to fade out over 1 second. Then we then start to apply the transformations for it to be able to move. So we now add to the style. Now that confetti element that we created, we then say confetti dot style will be equals to slate. Then the style, but we have to put all those variables inside using what? Using our backticks and our ternary operator, our template literals rather. So now we are now going to what? Put POSX in pixels. You have to be careful with this one when you're writing it, just so that you don't make mistake. Then position Y, pixels, then rotates, and then current rotation. Then this one is in degrees, and close it. So then we are now saying if, now see where the if condition comes in now. Then you want to have your condition here. If opacity is greater than 0, right? Then we are going to what? Run our function, which is what? Request animation frame, and pass the update into it. So this updates, we pass it into it, and then else we are going to say confetti, which is our confetti element, dot remove, which basically what? Removes it from what? From the window. Then after that, we are going to write the function request animation frame, then updates. So let's see what right now. We still have the dots, so we need to see why it is not updating as it should. We need to see why it's not updating as it should. So in our animate confetti, we are passing this argument into the function, but we are not passing them as parameters expected in the function. So we need to what? Pass them in. So we are expecting confetti, we are expecting a value of angle, we are expecting velocity, and we are expecting rotation. So let's see. Let's refresh. So we still need to do, sorry guys. We still need to do one more thing. We still need to, okay, let me check the code. We have our confetti, we have our angle, we have our velocity, we have our rotation, which is all correct. And we have all of them passed into this, which is all correct. So JavaScript can be a bit tricky, and JavaScript does not show you errors. So you have to be sure that everything you're writing is correct. So I'm trying to go through the code and scan through the code to see if there is anything that we may have missed out. All right. So so far all looks good from here. All looks good from here. Okay. Angle and velocity. Okay. 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 So I see that over here, during time we are using a equals instead of a minus. That's a funny one. If that was the issue, then that would have been very funny. Okay, so that is resolved, but we still need to find why it is not why it is not animating. So let's see what we have here. Okay, this calculations looks correct. All right. Okay, we also need to add the opacity over here. The confetti does style. You need to pass the opacity into here and set it as what? Opacity. All right. So let's see. We are almost done, guys. Okay. This also looks correct. This also looks correct. Okay. So let's see our click button again to see if we are not missing anything in our click button. So over here, we are creating confetti and we are creating a pop. So let's try to refresh and see. So right now you notice that it no longer stays. It's now leaving the button, but then it is not yet animating. All right, it is not yet animating. So we need to make it animate. We need to make it animate. So let's see if we are missing out on anything lastly before we call it a day. Let's see once more. So this is where we create the confetti. This is where we have our for loop. This is where we increment it. We create the div here. We have your class name over here. We have our random colors over here. We have our background color set over here, which currently works. We have our position, which currently works also. And then we add into the body, which currently works. And then we have our angles. So I believe we need to double down on this animate confetti function. So let's see what that looks like once again. So we have confetti, angle, okay, angle, okay, velocity, okay, and rotation. Okay. So let's check once more. Mad the cos times velocity, mad the sine times velocity. So guys, I hope you're following. Also check to ensure that you are following. I need us to all follow. Okay. So this is a times plus 0.5 times gravity times elapsed times elapsed. Okay. Okay. So this fades out after 1 second. Okay. The confetti, we transform the confetti. Okay. Okay. And we remove this. All right. So let me see. Let me remove this and see what happens. Let me remove let me remove this and see what happens with it. Oh, okay. So let me paste them now. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So what's it probably maybe I needed the ad refresh or something. Maybe I needed the ad refresh. But basically guys, who followed me. Yes, yes, yes. Abdulatif, I have discussed the responsive design for our um, portfolio page, and that's up, and it has even been deployed already. I'm sure you get it from the recording. And also, we just finished this counter. It was a very tasking one, but finally done with it. So you notice that when we get to different milestones, we do we get our message? Let's see. Yes, we watch the video, you were gonna say it. Okay, let's see if we have a function that checks for the milestones. Or we don't have a function for that. So let me just quickly create that last function. I will call it again, guys. Let me just say function check milestone. So this is one that will always check if we have reached all of those milestones and will show us that message. So if the fun facts of a particular account, um yeah, okay, so if for example the fun fact count is maybe 10 or 25 or 50, what happens is we then say fun fact display test content to be fun fact counts, and then set timeouts would then be fun fact display dot test content equals to nothing. All right, after what 3 seconds. So we are then going to make sure that this function is called after we create our confetti. So we just say what check milestone. So let's see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. So if you have joined me up to now, I believe you should have your counter up and running. Um, for those that were able to join in or they missed any part of the class, please check the recording. I'm sure you are going to get it in the recording, or also check the documents that the codes that will be shared on Discord, and you will definitely have everything up and running. All right, and that will be all for today, guys. Trust you had a good time understanding JavaScript with this interesting project, and I hope we all had a great one. Thank you, and thank you for staying till the end. Hi, Miss Aishat, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Semiloluwa, for that amazing section. I mean, interactivity. We are into interactivity now, and guys, that's like two tasks that we have now. I'm sure after this section, I will try to upload the video so that we can go back to it and watch, and also make our own interactive website, interactive counter that can count once we click. I don't know if Focus wanted to talk, but if you have any question, Tahir was asking if we talked about interactive design. I'm guessing that Mr. Similolu has already answered him for that question. So if you have any question, please, this is the time to ask your questions. Um, Elliot, Immaculate, Focus, Joe, Josiah, Lewis, Maxwell, Michael, MK Samuel, Patience. I think some people even reach out to me privately that they can't, sorry, that they had to drop off the call because of some emergency. Like Jamila, she had to drop off. Mind sharing the recording early tonight? To be honest, I want to share the recording early tonight, but I still need to upload it on YouTube. And you know, when uploading takes time to process before it renders. Yesterday, I was supposed to share yesterday night, but my internet connection was messing up, which is why I shared this morning. So I would also try my best to upload the recording this night on YouTube and share the link in the community. So yeah, I will try to upload it this night. So I'm assuming that we have no question. This is already 8:06. And like I said, a minute please, Abdul. This is now two tasks that we have. Are we concluding tomorrow? That's still pending. I will let you know in the community if we are concluding tomorrow or not. But I think we'll be concluding on Friday. They've actually given us the grace that we should have one more day and extend the closing to Friday. So I think we'll be closing on Friday. Like I said, you now have two things that you are owing me. Oh, on Discord. That's the link to your HTML website, the one with HTML and CSS. And the second link for this JavaScript interactivity website that we've used, this counter. Please, guys, I want you guys to do it. And I'm saying this because it's for your own good. This is something you can actually put in your portfolio. This is something that can actually get you in the door, like can get your legs in the door. In case there is an opportunity for you to volunteer somewhere, or to intern somewhere, you can show them that this is what I have worked on before, or this is what I have done, this is what I have practiced on my own. So please try your best to do it and share that link in the community. Hi Abdul, it seems you wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Hello, Aisha. Good evening, everyone. I just want to commend you guys with respect to the engagement. I really like that. So far, the sessions have been very engaging. I like that you ask questions. I like that you answer questions. Likewise on the Discord channel. Please let's keep it up. The main um, signal to say that okay, a session is going well, or learners are really getting what the tutor is talking about is by engaging with him, asking questions, answering questions. During our first session, we do explain to you that we'll be needing your feedback. I believe that the feedback will be very positive from all the positive engagement I've seen. Nevertheless, I just wanted to remind us that please, by Friday, which will be our closing ceremony session, we will be inviting a subject matter expert to talk to you about full stack development, of course, his own experience, and what are the possibilities for anyone who is an expert or who is a developer on full stack web development. Likewise, we'll be sharing a feedback form with you. I just want to remind you once again that that's very important actually. We really want to know what you think about the sessions and how we can help with your development after this session. Once again, I commend you actually with regards to your engagement. I look forward to seeing more engagement during the sessions and also on Discord channel. Over to you, Ms. Aisha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdul. So thank you for mentioning that feedback. For that feedback, guys, I hope you guys are opening to giving me feedback. If you're opening to giving me feedback, please reply in the comment section because I'll be reaching out to you, honestly. So yeah, and I would love that give me that audience when I reach out to you. Michael, thank you for that. I would definitely reach out to you. I want everyone here to actually allow me reach out to them because we would love your feedback to improve, to know what should be better in the next boot camp, to know the things we should improve on, to know the things we should double down on, to know the things we should remove, to know the things we should add. So thank you everyone for staying to the end of this section. This has been a wonderful section. I see somebody's deployed website, Josiah, and I'm extremely impressed. I don't know if Josiah is still here. Let me check. Josiah, are you here? Is it Joe Mburu? Okay, I don't know if Josiah is still here, but guys, go and check it out. That was like a very clean website that he has done, and I'm just surprised. I was still asking him in the community if he just did it for the first time because that's neat. And I mean, this is how you just get started, and before you know it, you're building a fully fledged website by yourself. You are integrating APIs, you're calling APIs, and doing all sorts of stuff. So, thank you very much again, guys, for staying till the end. Thank you, Patience, for being here to the end. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, MK Samuel. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Simi, Mentor Simi. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Immaculate. Thank you, Focus. Thank you, Abdul. And thanks to myself too for hosting you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Do have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.